Welcome to the Palette Talks podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Palette Talks podcast. This is your host, Jason, and I'm super excited to be here today. I know it's been a while since we did our last episode on the podcast, but after a series of long examination weeks, it is finally finished, and I'm super happy to be here today. And today I'm joined by a very special guest. She's not a producer, she's not an artist, but she's a lo-fi curator just like me. So without further ado, this is Brie. Hello, Brie. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing? Thank you for having me.
I'm doing great. So maybe for people out there who has not known who you are, can you introduce yourself a little bit? Tell everyone about what you do and where are you based maybe, and like just some simple introduction.
Of course. So my name is Brie. I run the Instagram account lofi.nites. So we're based out of Pennsylvania within the United States. I started this page because lo-fi was like one of the biggest influences in my life. I always was drawn to lo-fi and like just the vibes of it in general. And eventually, like with loving videography and that being part of what I go to college for, I decided that it would be something that I would very much enjoy to pair both of them together. And the amount of love and support, we've gotten since we've started is absolutely like mind-blowing. I'm so thankful for it. It's better than I could have ever asked for. It's just really nice to have a creative outlet where, I'm able to show how I feel and like others are able to like feel that as well and makes their day better and things like that. So that's just really amazing.
That's really cool. So I want to go back to the beginning, right? So what is your origin story? So what was that moment that you decided, I want to start this page. I want to help the community for lo-fi music. Like, why did you start this page, and like, what was the journey like when it started back then?
So I've grown up in an area, like the city that I'm from is very big on music and things like that. So growing up, I've had a lot of friends who have produced music, and I've watched them struggle to get exposure and like love that they deserve because they're very talented artists and producers. And so I was sitting there trying to think of a way to help producers like themselves get more exposure because, I mean, I'm sure there's more than just the 5 people I know that need big, like more exposure in this world. So I started that page pretty much to like help people like them as well, and to be able to give very talented independent artists a shot at like being noticed by people. When I first started, I didn't have too much of a plan. I knew my main goal was to really just help people in one way or another, whether it be with their feelings or with showing their music. So it really primarily just started because I watched a few of my friends and my partner included make amazing music and struggle to get it out there, because most people, when wanting to like expose your music to the world, they want a lot of money or they want, you know what I mean, something in return. So I figured like, money isn't really like, it's a constant in life, you know what I mean? You'll have it and sometimes you don't. So I wanted to create a place for people like them who may not have a lot of money or may not have a lot of like resources that can still put their music out there into the world.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. Like when you said that you had no plans on starting it, but you just kind of do it. And that's basically the same thing for me. Like I don't have any plans to start the page, but because like, I just feel like posting and engage with all the audience and the artists. And, just why sometimes I feel kind of, irritated by people who are like, how do I make edits and how do I start an Instagram page? How do I get more followers? Like when you start to think more about like the metrics, like the likes and the follows and the comments, like you will lose at the end. Like that's what I believe. Like if you have just a genuine good intention, like you will win. Like your page, a lot of people will go to your page. A lot of people will see your content. But if your focus is already like to, you know, get followers and get money, like you will lose at the end. And I think that's interesting. And you want to really help your friends and help artists are out there who need exposure, because like really, like honestly, like for me as well, like right now it's really hard to get exposures in this really competitive industries, especially in music. But of course, there are many opportunities, but the competition is really getting harder and harder. But for you, like, when did you start the page?
I started, it was December 21st, 2019. It was like 3 in the morning. I made my first edit and decided to post it. And for a while there, I wasn't getting a lot of like views
Mm,
or anything, which is completely
yeah,
understandable when you first start. Like that wasn't really the point, but I don't
yeah,
remember the turning point as to where like things started blowing up. I feel like it happened so fast that it was like a blur. I'm sure you kind
yeah.
of feel that way as well, where like the page kind of goes from like very flatlined, you're just posting content you like, and then I don't
Mm,
know if somebody in specific picks up the content and then it, blows up that way, but that
mm,
it just happens so unbelievably fast. But it is like you
yeah,
said, it was such a competitive field. Like there's so many different people trying to do so many different things, and it's just very interesting to see that like there are a lot of people out there who only care about, like you said, like the metrics and the views and the likes and the follows, and you can tell that a lot of their pages are specifically based on making money and
yeah.
kind of getting, I don't want to use the word clout, but kind of getting the clout, you know what I mean, that way. So
Mm,
it's nice to be around another page who blatantly cares as much as I do about not only their
mm,
followers and their content, but just everything about what they do in general. So
mm.
it's very refreshing.
Yeah. And funny thing is that actually I started back in July, I think July of last year, but I only did it for like 3 months, I think, and I kind of stopped for like until November last year. So I really stopped and I didn't post, I didn't open the page, like it's just stuck there, and it was like 2,000 followers, I think, and I don't really care about it anymore because I was entering university, right? And I thought like I want to focus, with my studies and stuff. But in November last year, I started again, and just kind of post and post and post, and I'm kind of getting addicted to it, making
Yeah.
content and just feature lo-fi music out there. And I feel like there's so many talented artists out there, and I really do think they deserve way more exposure. And that's basically what I'm doing up till now. And I guess we have the same kind of thing, right?
Yeah, that's amazing. That's awesome. I've always
Mm,
I've always been very interested in to see how people like what their reasoning is for things.
mm,
I'm a people person and I like to like learn about people and how they are about things, and it's nice to hear that you're very similar as to how I am. It's like I remember you saying at the very beginning that it's hard to always be like worried and like about everything and being very consistent at first, and then you
mm.
said you become like addicted to it. I like
Yeah.
could not agree with that more. Like you took the words completely out of my mouth. Like seeing that you help so many people becomes such a driving force for you that now you don't want to stop and take a break. You want to keep doing more and do better for yourself and for them.
Yeah. And by the way, for you, do you manage the account alone?
I do, yeah. So I don't have
Okay.
anybody else. Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
me and myself. It's very interesting. Do you manage your account alone as well?
Yeah. Me
So
too.
yeah, first it's crazy. It's like sometimes I wish that I was able to bring somebody else like in to
Yeah,
help
yeah,
me a
yeah.
little bit, but like I
Uh,
wouldn't have it any other way.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I felt like at one point I was like, I want to get someone at least to work on the creative side, like
Right.
just work together, find a friend. But like I haven't found that really perfect fit. I asked a lot of my friends, do you want to help me? Do you want to do this together? But they just kind of, nah, not today. So yeah, I'm doing this alone too. So I guess we're the same too now.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
interesting. I get a lot of direct messages from people that are like, "Hey, so I have ideas about starting other pages. Would you
Mm,
like to jump on that and help me and stuff?" And like the one page is enough for me. Like it's a lot of work. I'm happy to do it,
yeah.
but like I go to school for full time too. Like I'm in university as well. So
Mm,
like I'm sure you can understand that like trying to balance like your studies with this can sometimes be a little difficult. So
Yeah.
I've always just stuck to this and kept it how it is. But I agree with you in finding the perfect fit. It takes a long time because you wanna make sure that that person is as invested in it as you would be, just to, you know what I mean, want to create good content and do the exact same things that you would like to do. So
Yeah, I think it's really difficult. It's a challenge, but it's definitely possible to balance, with family and, with your studies and with the page. It's difficult, but I genuinely think like if we just eliminate the binge watching times and
right.
sleep just much better, don't waste too much time watching YouTube. I think like it's definitely possible, and it's actually helping me like internally. I develop myself more, I learn more with the time management and
Yeah.
stuff. It's really helping me a lot too. So,
It is. It's very
mm,
it's interesting too because I just want to say this for you as well because like I feel like you already know, but for people who are listening, it's
mm,
not like not, it's not like an everyday person can't do this. We are normal people. Like we did nothing incredibly um out of our comfort zone, but it doesn't mean that other people
mm,
can't do that as well. It's very important to understand that you don't have to have like a very important background, whether it be friends or family. You don't have to have a lot of money to start pages like this. You just have to have willpower and
mm,
consistency and want to do things, and good
yeah,
things will come to you. It's just be a good person and good things will come to you. Like if that makes any
mm,
sense at all.
yeah.
So
I
I'm very
totally agree with you, like 100%. Like that is like you literally like know what's on my mind. But yeah, I think that is like the truth. Like everybody can do it, but it's not gonna be easy. Everybody has got to do their own thing. Their own
right.
strategies, their own grind. Like that's it. The recipe is simple, right? Yeah. So let's move on. So let's now talk about the current lo-fi community. So what's your take on the current lo-fi genre, and like where do you think the lo-fi community will go in the future?
So I feel like right now we're lucky enough to be on like the brink of watching our community blow up and become
Mm,
something so special to so many more people than it
yeah.
already is right now. The best thing about I think lo-fi in our community is it is so close to the hip hop community and genre
Yeah.
that
Mm,
more people in the original genre of hip hop are noticing that lo-fi is kind of the new wave and kind of something
mm,
that's very important and influential to kids around our
yeah.
age and a little bit older and a little bit younger than us. So I feel like we're gonna get to see the community merge more with like mainstream things, but in a good way where we still have our hold on what we enjoy and what we like, but we are able to give these artists who are just making beats in their basement, their bedroom, wherever with their friends,
Mm,
the ability to like take off and do like amazing things for themselves. Like I feel like in the next couple years, we will be able to see a lot of the kids that we've featured, like doing amazing things, like on the radio or having their own, like their
yeah.
streams where they make their music and being able to sign with record labels and things like that.
Mm,
Um, I really know that there's so many people that are picking up on this genre that didn't before.
mm,
I'm not entirely sure besides, the regular hip hop community, like siding with the lo-fi community,
mm,
if that's solely what's helping it. But I did know that like there's a lot of American rappers who have had specific media conversations about lo-fi.
yeah.
And that I feel like that's such a big turning point. Being recognized by people who already have like millions upon millions of followers and people who love them to say that, hey, like this is a genre that like I support. Like I
Mm,
love to you see more people using lo-fi beats with their rap, like
yeah.
Action Bronson, Mac Miller before he passed, people like
Mm,
that were very into that. So I feel like in the next couple years we really will be taking off and being able to do so much more and being recognized more as like a valid and genuine community.
mm,
As of right now, though, I would say that the community is so absolutely amazing and supportive, like all
yeah.
around. I'm sure
Mm,
you feel that as well. You get a lot of people who probably say the same things to you.
yeah, of
Um,
course.
yeah, it's crazy. It's like there's just the amount of like talent between like people like us and people who make the music and there's so many very loyal people who
Mm,
watch and listen because it makes them feel better. It makes them feel more calm and like they're in a better place in their lives for that couple minutes that they're able to like tune in and check out what we're producing or what we're putting out. Um,
mm.
so I just feel like, I don't know, I feel like it could go so many different ways, but for me, I feel like the biggest way it would go as a community and where we can reach in the future is going to be like a very big and amazing collective of people that will, I don't want to say take over the world, but we'll reach
Uh,
will reach very far and wide, so I can't wait to see the day where there's so many people in their daily lives who just like listen to lo-fi in the car, like people's
mhm.
moms, people's grandmas,
Yeah.
like, so it's not just going to be young kids anymore.
Yeah, I genuinely think the same. Like, I feel like lo-fi is really gonna get really, really big in the next couple 2 to 5 years. And I genuinely believe that. Like, I have this intuition in my heart, like it's gonna happen because of various reasons that you actually already said before. Uh, the fact that right now lo-fi really stand kind of together with hip hop. We see that with those artists that you have mentioned, those rappers you have mentioned. Personally, I think like XXXTentacion, he really
Yeah.
did make a lot of influence, especially on lo-fi with his Shiloh samples. Like I really think it really helps many other people to know about the lo-fi genre as a whole. And I also think of lo-fi channels having a lot of contribution to the lo-fi community, like big YouTube channels, like for example, like the Bootleg Boy, and then YouTube channels that did the lo-fi hip hop 24/7 radio thing. A lot of my friends who don't usually listen to lo-fi music, they know about those lo-fi hip hop radios. Like they know those study girl, GIF loops. Like they know about that. And I really think that it brings a lot of influence to the community, to the genre, and last but not least, I also really think the community itself. That's what makes it different. I don't know if I
It
like it or if I don't, but the fact that lo-fi has been linked really closely with depression and sadness, it brings a lot of personal connections and emotional touches with the songs, with the interactions between the people, the audience, and the artists. But I really think that lo-fi is so interesting in a way that you feel sad and you feel empty and you listen to lo-fi music. You can feel like there's hope. You can feel like somebody's there for you. But at the same time, if you listen to lo-fi music when you're happy, you can also feel more energetic. You can feel just much more positive at the same time. So it can be comprehended differently by different people. And I think that's really what makes lo-fi super different with all the other genres. But yeah, I genuinely think it's gonna be really big in the next couple to 5 years. I really think many artists will really go big and will go mainstream, and a lot of them will be like big names that your mom will know, that your um, brother would know. Like I genuinely think I believe that.
I literally I can't wait for the day where I get to see some of the people that I worked so hard to like help get their stuff
Yeah.
out there to like get the
Hmm.
love they deserve. Like
Yeah.
I just wait for that. Like that's gonna be like the most amazing feeling to like see people actually do the best that they can do and then be recognized for it.
Mm.
Like I'm so excited for those days. But I really like the point that you said about like you said I don't know if I like it or not. But
Yeah.
this likes to draw sad people. So I 100% agree with you on that because a big part of what brought me to lo-fi back when I was like very early in high school was like being
Mm.
bullied and not feeling like I fit in somewhere. But for some reason, lo-fi made me feel way better and like it gave me that peace of mind when I needed it. So I know that there's a lot of kids, who
Mhm.
come to our pages who are like very in their feelings or very hurt about things. And at least for those couple of minutes that we can give them a little bit of different joy or peace of like mind and calmness is
Mm.
so much better than just like sticking to like a sad community. Like what I appreciate about your
Yeah.
page is that all you do is push positivity, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're bringing these kids who are like a little bit sadder than normal and they're attracted to the lo-fi genre because they have those feelings and you're bringing positivity to the forefront for them. And I'm sure that you've been able to change a lot of people's lives from that, because it's really all it takes is support from somebody, whether it be an Instagram page that you really love or a friend or family member, you know? So we can always use that the kids would come here sad and feeling some type of way, but we can always make it our goal and our point to like have them leaving our page with a little bit more inspiration in their life or a little bit more joy. You know, I think that's the biggest and most important thing we can do for them.
Yeah, previously, I initially thought that, like, I'm just an Instagram account. Like, why will people change their minds because of me? Like, I thought about that at first, but when I start to get like receiving DMs about people like really depressed and they really need help, and just by having conversations with them, and they actually like it really helps them. When you did that, like the feeling of like this thing, this Instagram thing can really change people's lives. And which is why, like, one big thing that I'm doing right now is I try to reply to every comment. I try to reply to every DM that I ever received, because, like, what if there's that one person that really needed the most? And what if you are the solution for them? So, yeah, it's really interesting about the community. And yeah, I think it's a really important job. Actually, it's a really important thing that we need to do. And as big pages, sometimes there's accountability in like what you posted. And I really also like the fact that you also post a lot about positivity and optimism. And I really thank you for that.
Yeah, of course, and I appreciate you for what you do as well. It's amazing to see how similar we are as people, actually. Like I do the same thing. It takes a long time sometimes, but I make sure as best to my abilities that I comment back to everybody. I DM everybody back, because like you said, you never know when that one person, it just needs a little bit more, and you can be that for them. It is a big responsibility though at the same time to think that we are so influential to so many people that we have to make sure that we put great things into the world, no matter how we're feeling personally. So it's a little bit like, it feels a little, it's a lot of pressure sometimes. I'm not sure if you've ever felt the same way, but I mean, when I first started and I realized that there were so many people who like looked to my content and similar content for like their little bit of love for the day and their little bit of happiness for the day. It was a little like, it felt like it was a lot of pressure. But I've never been the kind of person to not want to help people. I've always actually, prior to this page, said my whole entire life that my purpose on this earth was literally to help people and make them happy, because when you understand, like when you understand what it feels like to be the opposite of happy, like you kind of can either take that two ways and continue to be the opposite of happy, or you can make it your goal to stay happy and help everybody else around you to be the same way. So I've kind of made that second one my goal, whereas like I really just try my absolute best to give everybody love and like support and help when they need it, because this world is crazy. There's so many people out there who don't feel that way. So to be the positivity or the light in somebody's life is such a great like honor, for me to be able to do that. So
yeah, absolutely. We have those, maybe deep personal interactions with our audience, but have you ever had those awkward engagements with your followers?
Um, so I'm not sure if it would be along the same playing field as you, because I am a female. So a lot of the time when
Yeah.
people realize, a lot of the time when people realize that I'm a female, their respect for me kind of just goes away, and they get very awkward. It's very awkward.
Yeah.
So, it took me a long time. I want to say for like the first like 6 months of me having this page, I didn't really let anybody know anything about myself, because I was very nervous that when people found out that I was a female, they would like stop respecting me. And there was a lot of people who felt that way when I was like, hey, this is who I am, like it or not, this is who I am. But there's so many more people who are like absolutely loving and amazing. But yeah, I do get some very awkward interactions with some of my pages. I'm a very open person, so I'll post a lot of different things that some people wouldn't prefer to see, and I completely understand, but it's very interesting to see how people leave their opinions about it. So other than that,
Yeah.
everybody else has been very amazing. And it's not even like those people aren't amazing because I respect everybody's opinions. They're their own opinions. You're entitled to whatever you want to think or feel.
Mm. Yeah.
But it's interesting to see, like, the main thing would be how people switch up when they find out I'm a female, or when I go live and they're like, oh, I didn't know that this was you.
By the way, I'm not gonna lie. At first, I thought you were a male.
Hey,
Like
that's perfectly fine. So many people felt that
back
way, and
then.
honestly, I
Mm.
was not offended by it because, like, I've always had that weird, like, I kind of understand a lot of how both genders think and feel.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
that's like my advantage, is being able to like relate to both men and women in different ways. So
Mm.
yeah, a lot of people thought I was a man at first, which is completely fine with me.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like I've never thought of it from a gender perspective, but like yeah, it will be different because like most of the producers and the artists and the curators are male. I don't know. I don't want to like generalize, but this is based on my observation. But a lot of the audience are actually female for me,
Yeah,
so
same. Yeah.
it's interesting that way. Mm.
It's funny because, so like, I would assume that you paid attention to how your audience is and like your demographics, because that's very important. Is like, if you're gonna
Mhm.
look at any numbers on your page, it would just be to pay attention to your demographics. And
Yeah.
so that's how mine is. At first, mine was like a very big percentage of male viewers, and I'm not really sure what caught a lot of the male viewers to come to my page specifically. Maybe it was because I do a little bit more of like the gritty anime
Mm.
sometimes, and that's like a lot
Yeah.
of what, I know American males, at least
Mm.
every American male that I know that enjoys anime likes more of the gritty anime. But that, or maybe they just thought I was a guy and they were like, finally, like another guy running this page. But it is a
Yeah.
very male dominated community, which is very interesting because it is based on feelings and things like that. And I'm
Yeah.
not sure how it is everywhere else in the world, but I know, sadly enough, in America, a lot of males don't feel like they're allowed to show their feelings, you know?
I think like that's all around. That's like I live in Indonesia and that happened. You are perceived as like weak, when you cry as a man, like that's
Yeah.
I don't think that's right. Like, we're
Yeah,
humans too.
that's exactly. We're humans. We all
Yeah.
have emotions. We all have feelings. So that's why I like being able to have, like, at first I had a very like male dominated the
Mm.
demographics. So I was able to like give them their feelings for the day, and they would
Mm.
be able to do like how they feel about it. But it's very interesting that, like, that's why I was thought it was so interesting to me that this is a very male dominated like genre and community, because, like, I guess, like you said, I mean, it's not like that just in the United States. It's like that all around the world, where males aren't really allowed to be like human beings in their own. They just have to kind of suck it up and act like they don't
Yeah.
have feelings and emotions the same way that everybody else does.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting that such a feeling based genre and community is primarily run by men, and I think that's a huge and amazing turning point to see that
Mm.
so many men are able to do creative outlet things like this, and like, you're not getting any hate for it, you know what I mean? Which is like one of my major things that, like, I'm very much an advocate of, like, men can, feel and do whatever they please. So it's really cool to see that I'm a part of a community that has so many men that are out there openly being creative and showcasing their feelings and stuff like that. Like, that's a blessing to be able to be in a community where we are so open that even the people in the world who are told some from the day they're born that they can't show these emotions feel comfortable enough to do that with us. So
And like what's interesting is that like I this came to my mind like some time ago, and like I thought like what's amazing about this community is that they actually don't really care about like, you're talking about the emotions, like the male and female thing. Like they don't really care about our gender, and like what's fascinating is just like even though we're all like strangers, we don't know each other, but like as a community we can just like interact with one another and just openly, sharing our feelings, our deepest emotions. And I think that's really interesting. Like, it's just that's the truth out there, and we can just openly
yeah,
discuss without any bias that I think will be perceived differently if we like, let's say, meet in real life. But because of this platform, I'm super grateful that we can really engage and being open with our emotions to like everyone.
Yeah, of course. And I feel like that's kind of what the world needs. So hopefully that when this genre blows up a little bit and the community blows up a little bit, we keep that amazing communal, like family, best friend love kind of thing that we all do with each other. Because
Mm,
like I feel like that's something that the world needs so much. You know what I
yeah.
mean? To just be so openly unbiased to each other and like supportive and stuff like that. So it's cool to see that it starts, on social media. And
Mm.
one day, in the future, it could be so much bigger and so much more important to so many people.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So let's move on. I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
So, what's the one thing that you like about being a lo-fi curator, and the one thing that you kind of dislike about being a curator? Go on.
Oh, okay. So the one thing I like about being a curator is the fact that I have always felt like I have this weird thing where I feel emotions way deeper than the average person. So I'm able to take
Hmm.
that and put it into content for others that feel the same way than I do. And they're able
Mm,
to like agree with it and vibe with it. And I'd have to split that into a two-part because I'm sorry, there's no way I can just say there's one thing I love. And it's just the
mm,
second thing that I really, really enjoy about being like a vibe curator, a content curator, is that I get to hear people's music from all across the world and
mm,
create amazing relationships with them. Like friends that are literally hours away from me, flying
yeah,
hours away from me, driving. I couldn't drive there in a week. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
it's so amazing to see, the community and the friends that you can build just solely from listening to music and like sharing the same kind of outlooks on things. And the one thing that I really would say that if I had to dislike anything about being like a vibe curator or content curator would be that I don't think a lot of people understand that it is just me running this page. And
Yeah.
and it does take me some time, I'm sure you get just as many DMs as I do, probably
Mm,
more because you like a lot more followers than I do. So
mm,
it's not like I can always spend one day just answering DMs or one day, doing all that stuff. So sometimes it does take a little bit of time and people get very angry over things like that. Um, I
mm.
feel like sometimes people feel like you're pushing them to the side, but I don't push anybody to the side. It just takes some time because I do have to make sure I'm still doing my studies and going to work and things like that too. So
Mm.
I don't always have 24 hours of just hanging out and replying to DMs and stuff like that. If that's the worst thing that, you know what I mean, I feel like after creating this page, it could be entirely worse,
Yeah.
That's the worst thing.
But like, yeah, we need some empathy, guys and girls, and everyone out there. Like, please understand us. Like, we have a life too.
Right. I'm sorry, I get it because like before I created this page and before I understood how much work it was to really have this many followers and people that are trying to contact you all the time, I
Mm,
kind of probably felt the same way too, where like, oh, it's not that hard, you can just reply to me, but
yeah.
sometimes it just gets rough, I'm still
Mm.
thankful for all the love and support, but sometimes it's just some days are harder to do it than others.
Of course, of course. So let's talk a little bit about the future of your page. Do you have any plans for Lo-Fi Nights for the future? Like, how are you gonna bring this? You got a massive audience. How are you gonna bring this forward?
So I am currently in university for something called sports arts and entertainment management.
Mm,
So it's really interesting to see that my degree goes alongside with this page. And as I'm going through school now, I have something to pay even more attention to because of it.
mm,
So I eventually, my end goal here is to create a record label for
ooh,
the same artists that I started off by showing love and not being able to give them the most exposure, but being able to give them some exposure. I would
mm,
like to create a record label so that I can help them and people like them, for the rest of my life, get the love that they deserve because creating
mm,
amazing music like that is not an easy thing to do. And I just feel like if I could take this page and create a very big collective of amazing artists, that it would just be so worthwhile for them and something that I would be extremely happy doing for the rest of my life. So
yeah. Wow, that's really cool. I mean, like, you can message me anytime if you want, if you need my help.
thank
And,
you. Oh
and
my
I'd
gosh,
love to
that
be a
means so
part of
much.
it too.
That means so much. Thank you.
Yeah, so do you have any messages or shout outs before we end the podcast?
I honestly not anybody in specific, but I just wanted to say thank you for giving me a platform to talk about
Wow.
things I care about, and a very similar platform at that, where we have a lot of similar interests. And I want to say thank you so much to everybody who listens to like art, like the music that's produced or shown on my page, and enjoys the content on my page as well, because it's so important to help people, get the exposure and the love they deserve. And if it wasn't for bigger pages like you, kind of like giving, you kind of did pave the way for a lot of the other ones of us. Don't forget
Mm,
that you were very important within this community
yep.
and stuff like that. So we appreciate you just as much and everything like that. Every single one of us, so.
Cool, cool, cool. So thank you so much, Brie, for joining us today. So everyone, you can follow Brie. You can follow lofi.nites on Instagram. It's at lofi.nites, which is lofi.nites.
Yep.
Yep. You can follow the page, check out the content. Definitely gonna bless your days every day. So thank you also for everyone who has listened to the podcast. Thank you for tuning in the podcast. I'm sure there are gonna be more episodes to come next week. And don't forget to smile and relay the positivity wherever you are, in whatever situation you are. Thank you for listening. Bye bye.
何してるのかな。